A lot of people believe a bob cut will always make you look younger after 60. It sounds like a safe bet, doesn't it? But the truth is, 8 out of 10 women actually fall into mistakes with their bob, and instead of looking fresher, their faces end up looking more tired. It's something I've seen again and again over the years. Have you ever gone to get a bob, walked out feeling hopeful, but when you finally look at yourself in the mirror at home, you think, maybe this isn't for me after all? That moment of doubt? You're definitely not the only one. So many women over 60 choose the wrong kind of bob simply because we've all been told it's safe, like it's a universal answer to aging hair. But honestly, picking a bob, just because it feels like a sure thing, can sometimes do the opposite of what we hope. That's why I made this video, so you don't have to keep guessing or settling for a style that doesn't truly flatter you. Inside, I'll walk you through the 5 biggest mistakes women make with bobs after 60, and more importantly, I'll show you simple ways to avoid each one. By the end, you'll know exactly how to turn any bob into a style that brings out your best features and helps you look and feel years younger and more confident, every single day. And if you recognize yourself or a friend in any of these moments, feel free to like or share. Sometimes, the smallest tip is all it takes to start feeling good in your own skin again. And don't miss mistake number 3. It's the one that quietly causes so many women to second-guess their whole look, almost overnight. The first mistake, and it's one I've made myself, is thinking that a one-length, super neat bob is the secret to elegance. It looks so simple in the pictures, doesn't it? I thought, keep it clean and classic. That's the safest way. But let me tell you, after 60, our faces change in little ways we might not notice every day. Cheeks get a bit hollower, jawlines soften, and a heavy blunt bob can accidentally put all the attention right on those shifts. I remember the first time I tried a straight, one-length bob, hoping it would be low maintenance and modern. But when I looked in the mirror, instead of feeling lifted, I noticed my cheeks looked more sunken and my jaw even softer. The cut, so sharp and strict, seemed to almost lock my face in place, making me feel boxed in and oddly weighed down. Have you ever tried a blunt bob and felt it just looked heavy, or that it was hard to style? Sometimes we want simplicity, but the effect is almost the opposite. We end up struggling with hair that feels flat and stubborn, refusing to move or soften our features. But here's something I wish I'd realized sooner. You don't need a dramatic change. Just a few gentle, hidden layers or a little angle at the back can make all the difference. Suddenly, your hair catches the light, draws the eye up to your cheekbones, and the whole look feels brighter, lighter, almost like you found a soft focus filter. So if you're ever tempted by that classic one-length bob, maybe next time, ask for just a little softness and movement. Even the smallest change can give you a whole new feeling when you look in the mirror. And you know, the second mistake is a little trickier, because it comes from wanting the exact opposite, hair that feels super light and airy, but sometimes we take it a bit too far. The funny thing is, after trying a blunt bob that felt too heavy, a lot of us swing in the other direction. We want hair that's lighter, easier to fluff up, something that moves when we do. But here's the trap. If we go overboard with thinning, layering, or texturizing, the hair can end up looking wispy, almost see-through in places. I've looked in the mirror before and noticed my temples and the area around my ears suddenly seemed bare, like my hair had just disappeared. It's such a strange feeling, seeing parts of your scalp peek through where you never used to notice. And what we hoped would give us that breezy, youthful lift actually does the opposite. It can make our whole face look a bit tired or even washed out. I've even tried pulling my hair back after one of these cuts, only to realize it just wouldn't gather neatly. Left down, it lost its shape and looked stringy. Nothing to frame my features, nothing to bring out my eyes. It's surprising how much confidence can slip away over something as simple as a few extra snips. If you ever notice the front of your bob looking too thin, here's a little fix that works wonders. Ask to keep the hair around your face a bit fuller, and try adding a soft wave or gentle curl. That fullness brings the shape back, and the movement adds life. Suddenly your reflection looks more like you, just refreshed. But the next mistake is even sneakier. It's not just about the cut, or how much hair you have, but where the volume lands on your head, and that can make all the difference in how you feel. Now here's a mistake that sounds so minor, but I promise, it can change everything about how you feel when you look in the mirror. It's all about where the volume sits on your head. After 60, I've noticed that if I try to add too much volume at the sides, right around my cheeks, the whole lower half of my face ends up looking bigger and heavier. It's like the lift is pointing in the wrong direction, dragging my features down instead of opening them up. And if the top of my hair is too flat, it's almost like the sparkle disappears. There's something about a flat crown that can make the whole face look tired or even sad. Have you ever caught a glimpse of your reflection and thought, why does my hair make me look less lively, even when I've styled it? I felt that hesitation, that moment where you don't even want to be in photos because your hair just isn't helping you feel your best. But it's not because you've lost your spark or your sense of style. Sometimes, it's just the habit of putting volume in the wrong place. A little lift at the crown, instead of the sides, can instantly change the mood, bringing back a bit of lightness and grace to your whole look. And here's something I hear women debating all the time. Does your face shape really matter when it comes to a bob? Well, the next mistake is one that can sneak up on anyone, no matter how much experience you have with bobs. Not every bob suits every face shape, though I know it's easy to fall into that trap. I used to think, a bob is a bob, right? But after a certain age, our face shapes change ever so slightly, and the old rules we followed in our 30s or 40s just don't fit quite the same way anymore. If your face is on the rounder side, I've found that a bob that's just a little longer than the chin works wonders. For anyone with a square jaw, letting the front of the bob sweep forward in a longer, tapered line softens those angles so naturally. And if your face is a bit longer, sometimes a shorter bob with a little volume at the sides brings back the balance. So many women over 60, myself included, just stick with what felt safe or familiar years ago, without realizing how much our features have evolved. I remember a friend who always wore her bob right at the chin, even though her face had gotten more angular over the years. That sharp line only made her jaw look stronger and everything more pronounced. But when she finally tried a bob that was longer in front, almost like it was gently hugging her face, her whole look softened. She even said she felt more youthful and comfortable right away. Here's a gentle suggestion. Before your next haircut, stand in front of the mirror and use your hands to crop the length on each side. Imagine a little longer or a little shorter. See what actually lights up your face today, not just what worked in the past. And that brings us to the last and maybe the most powerful mistake, a habit so many of us don't even realize we're still holding on to. Here's the one that always feels the hardest to admit, holding on to the same styling habits we've used for decades, without even thinking twice. It's almost comforting, isn't it? We reach for the same big round brush, spray our hair stiff, part it in that familiar spot we've used since, forever. But after 60, what used to look polished can start to look a little forced, even dated. Sometimes the very things we think keep us looking our best are the ones holding us back. We've talked about one-length bobs, too much thinning, misplaced volume, and forgetting about face shape. But truly, it's these old habits, these little routines, that can be the sneakiest culprit of all. I used to straighten my bob religiously every morning, thinking it gave me that tidy, youthful look. What I didn't realize was that my hair lost all its natural softness and movement. And don't get me started on hairspray. if I could count the times my hair felt more like a helmet than a style. The smallest tweak can make a world of difference. Sometimes just shifting your part a half inch to one side, or letting the ends flip out naturally, gives your whole face a new glow. You don't have to reinvent yourself overnight. Just a little freedom here and there brings out a lighter, more confident version of you. And if you remember nothing else, let it be this. Sometimes, the best change comes from letting go of what used to work and giving yourself permission to try something just a bit different. That's where real confidence begins. So here we are, looking back at the 5 biggest mistakes with bob haircuts after 60. There's the stiff, one-length cut that weighs your face down, the over-thinning that leaves your hair too wispy, the misplaced volume that changes the mood of your whole look, forgetting to match your bob to your face shape, and of course, holding on to those old styling habits that just don't serve you anymore. But here's what's truly wonderful. You don't have to get everything perfect. Even if you just avoid 1 or 2 of these common pitfalls, you'll be surprised by how different you feel the next time you look in the mirror. Sometimes all it takes is the smallest shift, a little softness here, a new part there, a style that actually flatters who you are right now, to see yourself in a brand new light. And if you have a friend who's also been wearing a bob for years, why not send her this video? Share it gently, because sometimes a bit of encouragement or a fresh perspective is the best gift we can give each other. After all, a new hairstyle is never just about hair. It's about rediscovering that spark, that confidence, that sense of fun that belongs to you at any age.